and I like the confidence.
Was hoping to find you here. This rivalry of ours can't go on much longer. Island's just not big enough to support us both.
I've got a solution to that. Why don't you back down?
Can't say I see that happening. This land's barely just come back from one ecological disaster. Then you and your ilk, the business folk who put profit above all else. You all come here by the dozens and start grabbing up whatever you can get your hands on. Land can't sustain it, and I won't stand for it. That's why I'm trying to show you all another way. A better way.
Better how? Aren't you the one who prides himself on picking whole areas clean of resources?
I don't take more than the land can spare, and I never take anything without giving something back.
I can give as well as I take too. So if you come for me tomorrow, be ready for a fight.
Survival of the fittest, huh? Wouldn't have it any other way.
Good for you telling him off.
Yeah, but I've got to wonder, what if he has a point? When I inherited this business from my uncle, I also inherited his way of doing things. But Oswald lured me into the clutches of a pitiless, soul-binding debt collector. Maybe his way of doing things wasn't entirely ethical.
Well, Listen, I'm sure your uncle would do many things differently. But moral dilemmas and recriminations can wait. Tomorrow, your entire focus must be on one thing, and one thing only. Winning.
It's another beautiful day here in Rafta. We're told there's a 0% chance of rain. The chance of a winged carnivore attack is slightly higher, so let's move things along. You know me by now. I'm Baptiste, Master of Guild, Tender of Bar, and your host for today's epic contest. On the field below, two fine merchants have taken their places, but only one can be crowned our champion. Who will it be? Our challenger has walked the breadth of the wild and lived to tell the tale. He is daring, he is dashing, and he knows firsthand the importance of quality ingredients. Give your warmest Rafton hello to Corsac!
So many people.
She's up against the reigning champ. She's a doer, a brewer, and an entrepreneur. Make some noise for Sylvia!
Hey, Corsac! You look a little green around the gills. You want to call it a day?
Don't have gills. But now I wish I did.
Dang, that guy is ice cold.
Our judge today needs no introduction, but he's getting one anyway. Idol of millions, inspiration to heroes and envy of artisans everywhere. Give it up for Robin!
You're too kind, Baptiste. Too kind.
It has been said. Now, let's get down to business, shall we?
Didn't think there'd be so many people. Doesn't change anything. Hunter keeps his focus on his prey.
All right, contestants, give us a show!
This tonic was made with the delicate whiskers of the hippopotamus.
Those are hard to come by.
The trick is you gotta tickle him first.
An interesting technique. I'd value the resulting potion at...
Seems fair.
Think you can beat that, Sylvia?
No animals were tickled in the creation of this potion.
It's definitely an ice tonic. I can tell by the frost. In fact, I've got chills just by looking at it. I'll admit it. I'm impressed. There's no question. Sylvia, this first round goes to you.
Ha! I've got this in the bag!
But... Dang. This competition's the best platform I've got to make my message heard. So I'm gonna adapt, overcome. Time to unleash the beast.
Horsack means business, folks. The claws are coming out for round 2.
I trust you have another potion prepared, Corsac.
This one was brewed with all-natural hobgoblin tears.
Interesting. What did you mix them with?
Well, might have gotten a few tears of my own mixed in. I just can't stand to see a goblinoid cry.
Sounds salty. I'd value it at...
I respect that.
Sylvia! What do you have for us?
This should elicit some tears from Corsac.
As a side enhancer, it does meet the minimum requirements. Exceeds them even. Well, it's obvious who's come out ahead, isn't it? Congratulations, Sylvia. You're the winner.
I knew I had it!
I see it now. I was the prey all along. Should have seen that coming, I suppose. Life in the wilderness prepares a man for many things. Running a business might not be one of them.
Hey, there's no need to give up completely, is there? Maybe it's the winner's rush talking? But I'm starting to enjoy our rivalry.
Honestly, I'm not so sure potion making is my calling. Only wanted to show the world there was a better way of doing things. Shown that success doesn't have to come at the expense of nature. But I always planned to take a step back after today. Intended to use my winnings to fund a new series of expeditions. The more time I spend here, the more I want to be out there.
If it's expeditions you want, there might be a way to make that happen. The Heroes Guild needs people who can handle themselves out in the wilderness. Based on what I've seen, they'd be lucky to have you.
Well, isn't that a thought? Might not be a bad idea. Might be worth talking to Baptiste about.
Yeah, don't thank me or anything. Solving problems, that's just what I do. Solving problems and winning competitions! And so it looks like Corsac will be joining the Heroes Guild.
Remarkable. Just remarkable.
Aw, you weren't worried, were you? I keep telling you I know what I'm doing.
I had a feeling you'd prevail. What surprises me is the compassion you show your competitors. Were I in your shoes, I'm not sure I'd do the same.
We're all just people, Owl. We deserve opportunities to make our way in the world. And besides, having Corsac in the guild will mean more access to more resources. That's good for my shop. And it doesn't hurt that he kinda owes me big time.
You're really thinking ahead now. Apply that to your daily negotiations and you'll be hard to beat. In fact, just throw everything you know at your customers and let them sort it out.
Forget hard to beat. I'm feeling unstoppable.
Careful, Sylvia. Hubris has been the downfall of many a promising witch.
Yep.
Although you've certainly made some impressive strides in a short time.
You think so? I guess being forcibly soulbound to another person's crushing debt is a good source of motivation. Who would have figured?
If that's the case, then I'm happy to have been of some service to you. Now, I believe you have a deposit to make.
I can't bear to watch.
Everything appears to be in order.
Dang, that would have bought a lot of ramen. But I'm in the groove now. You'll have your next payment in 10 days. Count on it.
I certainly am. Until then.
You can come out now.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's just... Oh, that woman.
I get it. She's intimidating. But don't worry, I can handle her on my own. You've been a huge help, Owl. Don't think otherwise for a minute.
Thank you. That's...
Not like that deadbeat Oswald. I swear, it's enough to make me want to learn necromancy. So I can raise him from the dead just to kill him all over again.
Ah, yes. You have every right to be angry. Of course you do. We'd best turn in. Tomorrow, the cycle begins anew.
At least we're in this together.
Good morning, Sylvia. Are you ready to continue your march toward glory? I have something that ought to be of help. A new upgrade to your license. With this, you're authorized to brew a whole new range of potions.
Thank you for doing that. Paperwork is my mortal enemy.
I pride myself on being organized. In fact, I have the details for the next competition right here. I suppose it was foolhardy to think I could keep this one in mint condition. Anyway, remember, each new competition comes with new potion requirements. The potions are getting more advanced, but so too is the reward.
I guess I don't get a day off, huh?
No rest for the wicked, or the insolvent.
Hey there, chum. How's business?
Well?
Shush now. That was a rhetorical question. I already know the answer. Business is real hard, isn't it? All the upkeep, all those customers, all that math. Wouldn't you like to lay those burdens down? What do you say to an early retirement, and you just send all your customers my way? Boss Finn will take real good care of them.
Oh, I see. You must be my rival in the next competition. Well, sorry, but I'm no quitter. If you want to take a bite out of my business, you're in for a fight.
Oh, so the minnow's got some teeth. But I'm the big fish in this small pond, and you're an appetizer at best.
Funny that you mention appetites, because the overwhelming stink of body spray is totally spoiling mine.
I'll just excuse myself from your sight then. Of course, that means you won't see me when I come for you. And I will come for you.
Well, he's a charmer, isn't he?
Forget taking a day off. If it means trouncing that guy, I can't wait to get back to work.
something a little different in mind for today. Since we're dating, I figure I can finally reveal one of my most closely guarded secrets.
This ought to be good.
Oh, it's good. I'm talking about my secret recipe for tree sap whiskey.
Tree sap whiskey? I didn't even know that was possible.
It's possible, and it's delicious. A cat by the name of Sugar entrusted the recipe to me. He was one of my companions, the rogue of the group, and our captain when we were on the water. His damage output was matched only by his alcohol tolerance, and tree sap whiskey was his favorite. He used to say it had more kick than an angry centimule.
I'm sold. Where do we start?
Well, the first thing we've got to do is ask a tree for permission to tap it.
So you weren't joking before. You can talk to the trees.
In truth, it's less about talking and more about listening. Trees are constantly communicating. They send out signals to other trees about environmental hazards. And each tree's leaves and bark hold a treasure trove of information about its health and history. We've just got to find an ambrosia tree of moderate age that has plentiful sap and a genial nature. Thank you for your generosity, proud sentinel of the wood. I'll patch you up when we're done. Sylvia, we just have to wait until that bucket's full. Then we can head back to my place.
I'm glad you're here to show me the way. I'm totally turned around.
I forget some people struggle to navigate the woods. Personally, I know the area even better than I know the precise arrangement of freckles on your shoulders.
So, pretty well then.
Yeah, I've made a thorough study of both. But I could always take a closer look.
Seriously, though, don't all the trees kind of look the same?
They do not. Not if you're paying attention. This forest contains pines, oaks, gloam willows, all grouped in unique arrangements.
I guess I've only got eyes for you. How's a forest supposed to compete?
Flatterer. I only hope the forest doesn't get jealous of your attentions. A place like this has teeth and a long memory. But all right, let's set the trees aside for a moment. If what you see is not enough to help you get your bearings, there are other senses you can rely upon. Notice the tang of sea salt on the air. Feel the sponginess of the moss beneath our hooves. This particular spot of woodland is a spot like no other. And this is what I really mean when I talk about mindfulness, Sylvia. It's not just about shutting out the stress. It's about what you choose to take in. It's about being truly present.
I think I follow you. I know I could be better about living in the moment. It's a struggle when there are bills to pay.
Let me ease your burden a bit, Cherry Blossom.
You're sweet. And that does help. Thanks.
Some whiskey might help too. Is it almost ready?
Oh, I'm afraid I may have given you the wrong impression. This process takes several decades. But the anticipation is part of the pleasure. Take these next 30 years to prepare your senses. And in the meantime, I've got some cheap moonshine stashed away in one of these tree hollows, I think.
first. Let's get some ice cream. We'll even pay for it instead of stealing, out of respect for your chosen profession.
That's big of you.
Pretty big, yeah. I only hope that this place finally took my feedback and has expanded its flavor offerings accordingly. I don't know why they didn't have seafood flavor ice cream to begin with. It's like a no-brainer.
I think you're out of luck. I don't see anything seafoody.
And I don't smell it.
Fine, we'll just stick with plain.
Plain? Do you mean vanilla?
Nah, vanilla's a flavor, isn't it? I mean plain, milk-flavored.
The way Katuna intended. So good.
Oh, so good! And you just can't get this on the high seas? I guess there's gotta be some kind of trade-off, right? Otherwise, I don't see the appeal. If I spent as much time on land as you lubbers do, I'd just be pissed off all the time.
So no change, really.
Ah, Captain Peanut Gallery over there. But you know the best part of life on the high seas?
The freedom is appealing. The idea that you could just lift anchor and go anywhere.
Yeah, that ain't bad. But it's not like we don't have ties that bind us. Nah, the best part is, you're always with your mates. Your crew's your family. And you get to take them with you wherever you go. It's why we take this blood brother process so seriously. We gotta really put the screws to you. Make sure you're not the type to spill your sand at the first sign of trouble.
What does spill your sand mean? I'm not familiar.
It's a pirate thing.
Each of us carries a vial of sand, Sylvia. The sand is collected from the beach on which we're born.
Yeah, mostly we spend our whole lives on ships. But when a litter's about to be born, we try and find a cozy patch of sand somewhere. Birthing is a messy business. Better to do it in nature's litter box than have to swab the decks with bleach. And carrying some of that sand out to sea with us feels meaningful.
That's a cool custom. Sort of like taking a little piece of home with you.
Yes and no. It's not like the beach is our real home and the ship is a replacement. I think of it this way. The sand connects us with the place of our birth. But it's not like an anchor. It's more like a reminder that we can take the important stuff with us. Home ain't a static place if you follow. And now that you know our secrets, we gotta kill ya!
Wait. You're just seeing if I'll spill my sand.
And demonstrating another pirate haggling hack. You can't show him no weakness, Sylvia. No quarter.
All right. No quarter will be given.
You got spirit for a landlubber. Whoa. And I've got indigestion.
Me too.
Oh, why does this happen with the ice cream every time? You think they're trying to poison us? Like that sushi place that time.
Is it possible you're lactose intolerant?
I don't know what that means, but I ain't known for my tolerance, so probably.
I need to find a litter box.
Oh, yeah, you and me both. We'll see you around, Sylvia. Hot tip. You might want to steer clear of this area for a good 20 minutes or so.
What's...
Well, but she just had to let me know that my sister removed some lady's supposedly inoperable goiter through a skillful combination of magic, medicine, and quadridexterity. Which, like, that's great, don't get me wrong. But she had that tone in her voice. The one that says, "How many goiters have you removed, Luna?" Is the answer 0, Luna? Because, that's not a very impressive number, Luna.
Wasn't she excited about your big client?
Oh, it's way too soon to loop her in on that. What if it all falls through? There's no sense in getting her hopes up until the trial period is over and the contracts are signed in blood. But that client is the whole reason I need to get out of my head and back on target ASAP. I'd set aside time today to brainstorm some bold new ideas for them, but I've just been staring blankly at these screens. And also wondering whether you'd drop in. You're sort of on my mind a lot these days. Sorry if that's weird. Is it hot in here? Should we get some air? Let's get some air! Say, it's pretty nice out here. I guess the heroes are doing a good job of keeping the local beasties at bay. Someone should help them put together a PSA.
I know the guy in charge, if you want me to put in a word.
That's nice of you to offer, but I'm officially all booked up. In fact, hold that thought. I've got to check in on something real quick. That's weird. My feed isn't updating.
You probably shouldn't expect to get any service out here.
What? Really? I take back every nice thing I said about this stinkhole! Set it on fire!
This is a good thing. Didn't you want to get away from screens?
Not all screens, just the big looming ones. But this is fine. I mean, we came all this way. We should stay. We should enjoy ourselves.
I always enjoy myself with you, whatever setting we're in.
Sylvia, you're so sweet. And you're right. We are practically destined to have a nice time because we're together. Fresh air. Yum, yum. Just checking something really quick. Okay, I have to be honest with you. I'm not totally sure what people do out here. I mean, we breathed some air. Mission accomplished.
Didn't you want to clear your head? Free up some mental space for new inspiration.
I guess inspiration comes on its own schedule. For me, that's usually at 3 in the morning when I'm on a deadline. In the meantime, I've got my tried and true go-to marketing plans to fall back on. You get diminishing returns when you go back to a rehearsed line, but whatever works, right?
I'm not against sticking to a script now and then.
Right? I knew you'd get it. And I also know you'll forgive me for cutting this short. As much as I enjoy seeing you, next time, we should stick closer to home.
The enviable life of a 2-time champion, idol of millions.
Sylvia, hope I'm not interrupting. I'm all set up at the guild hall now. Baptiste said to let you know.
Okay, I'll keep you in mind. Was there something else?
Matter of fact, yeah. You've shown me a kindness, Sylvia. setting me on this new path. Feels like I should return the favor.
You could share some pointers. I'm always looking to learn and grow.
That's not a bad way to be. I was going to suggest you start growing your own ingredients. Ever try it?
I took a botany class in college where we learned the basics. It didn't go well, though. Not for my GPA, and not for the poor plants.
Not everybody's gifted with a green thumb. But gardening's easy with a slime bulb.
Slime bulb?
I come across them every once in a while. Little critters gobble up all sorts of things. And in the right conditions, they'll reshape their own protoplasmic mass to grow identical copies of their last meal. It's a downright fascinating adaptation. And they're awfully nice to look at.
Not unlike yourself, really.
I don't know about that. Given the choice, I'd rather blend into the foliage. Skulking in the bushes is how I found this particular slime bulb, actually. Was a bit of a runt, but I nursed her to health with my homemade plant formula. And frequent words of encouragement.
Thanks. I'll try it out.
Does me some good to see you're giving thought to minimizing your footprint. Mind if I give you some pointers for proper care and feeding? Behold, the humble slime bulb. A remarkable, magical, cute-as-a-button organism capable of cloning any ingredient. Just place the ingredient you want to duplicate into an empty slime bulb. Once an ingredient is gestating, you can feed her extra ingredients. That'll help her grow more of the gestating ingredient. A bulb's plasma color tells you what Magimin she prefers to munch on. Feed her the right Magimin, and she'll be happy and healthy and grow a lot of ingredients for you.
Nice. Who knew that going green could actually give me an edge?
That's not such a surprise, really. Nature's not a congeniality contest. Plenty of animals take what they want and don't say sorry. Squirrels, for instance. You want to bring home the gold? Channel that ferocity, Sylvia. Be the squirrel.
I think I follow. But are squirrels really all that ferocious?
I've got scars that say they are. Don't make the mistake of underestimating a squirrel, Sylvia. Not like I underestimated you. That's all I got for now. But you know where to find me.
I'm in too good a mood to be confined indoors today. That's in no small part thanks to you. Just the sight of you puts an extra skip in my step.
I was just thinking the same thing. You want to skip on out of here for a bit?
I like the idea in theory, but what if I'm needed here?
Just put out some bar snacks, lock up the liquor, and leave a first aid kit with Mint. The heroes will be fine.
You do have a knack for anticipating the needs of others, don't you? I hope you deploy that level of emotional intelligence in your haggling.
Thanks for the tip. And the compliment. And actually, I'll take some bar snacks for the road too.
It's amusing. When I was a kid, my parents had to bribe me to go outside. I never wanted to leave the house. Now, I think I'd go mad if I didn't get out into the open air at least once a day. I guess people change. But I had an ulterior motive for coming to this spot in particular. I wanted a proper look at that big, glorious skull. You see it there? You know the story, I assume, about how a group of heroes came here to depose Maven, but first had to get past her guardian Kraken. The skull is all that remains of the creature. What do you think of it?
It's pretty cool. Monster skulls are fun to look at.
Ah, Sylvia, you have the soul of a poet and the tongue of a disaffected teenager.
You know what I'm talking about. The whole guild hall is decked out in monster skulls.
Those are trophies, reminders of our triumphs. This is the opposite of that. 20 years ago, a band of adventurers set out on a quest to vanquish a fiendish witch queen. They knew it was insanely dangerous. Still, they left their homes and their loved ones behind. They hoisted their weapons and their sails. They answered the call. Why though? For money? For fame? Or because it was the right thing to do? The answer is, all of those reasons are correct. Their actions were courageous, their intentions noble. But they were professionals, and professionals expect compensation in return for their expertise.
Yeah, we have a saying in my circles. A potion maker can't pull nutrients from the glass of swallowed flasks. It loses something in translation from the original Draconic. But the point is, everybody's got to eat. And in our world, that means making money.
A concern that I, personally, never had.
Wow, you're good at that.
Thanks. Living a carefree childhood, I had ample time to develop useless skills. It's only now dawning on me how all my little privileges added up to larger differences. Never having concerns about where my money was coming from, that left me ill-equipped to understand the needs of those in my employ. It seems obvious enough now. If I want heroes to join my guild and stay in my guild, then I need to compensate them for their vital labor. But that's easier said than done. I'm not at all sure where that money should come from.
Sounds like you have some thinking to do. And some math.
If only that were all I had ahead of me. But our sparring dummies need to be stitched up, arrows and potions need to be restocked, and the dust bunnies look to be planning a revolt. It's hard to wrap one's head around systemic change when the chores never seem to let up. But this is the job. It's my job. And if there's a problem, it falls to me to solve it. So, solve it I shall. Let's enjoy the sea air a little while longer, my Duchess. Because when I get back to the guild hall,
I have my work cut out for me.
Baptiste sure has a lot on his plate. I can't solve all his problems for him, but at least I can provide some potions. Wow! It's hot down here.
You flirty thing, you.
No, I mean it. It's sweltering.
There was a frost enchantment keeping the lava's heat in check. I deactivated it, then threw on some kindling for good measure. I like the heat. Like most demons, I grew up underground.
Just be careful not to burn the place down, please.
I suppose I can avoid that, but it's hardly fair that you keep amending the terms of our arrangement.
I think don't set my house on fire is a pretty reasonable request.
You're right. Of course you're right. Oh, truly, Sylvia, you are a font of wisdom without equal.
And you're laying it on a little thick.
Sometimes pandering is the best way to steer a conversation in your favor. Dignity be damned.
Who has time for dignity anyway?
Wield the power responsibly, dear protégé. Now, as toasty as it is in here, I find myself in need of more kindling. Care to come along? Here we are. There's bound to be abundant driftwood along the shore.
I assumed we'd be buying kindling from a vendor. I know this one druid.
Yes, I've heard you know her quite well, you little scamp. But you can't flirt your way out of everything. There are some things you must do yourself.
Was that a spell?
It's a ritual, but not a magical one. I don't mean to be secretive, but I tend to be private about my heritage. You could say I'm still working out exactly what it means to be a demon living on the surface. Suffice to say, there's a ritualistic significance to the gathering of fuel for the hearth. So please keep your eye out for more driftwood, but allow me to carry it all myself.
Whatever you say. I want to respect your traditions.
Particularly the traditions that save you from manual labor, I'm only teasing. I appreciate you taking this seriously. And every demon carries their own kindling during the week of 1,000 pyres.
You don't have to explain anything to me. I'll follow your lead on this. Whatever I can do.
That is not unmeaningful, you know. I'm far from home, Sylvia. To my knowledge, I'm the only demon on this entire landmass. It's not in my nature to feel lonely. But when demonic holidays like this roll around, I think of the people I've left behind. I think of my family. And I'm glad not to be entirely alone here.
I'm right upstairs if you ever need me. After all, I miss my family too. We had this holiday tradition where we'd all wear blindfolds and touch gross stuff. Good times.
I've lived among humans for years, and you still manage to baffle me. Thanks all the same. I'm not sure I realized how much this particular holiday meant to me until just now. It's not altogether irritating to be sharing it with you.
The whole town seems on edge since Bossfin started throwing his weight around. Have you noticed?
I've noticed that you seem concerned.
Shouldn't I be? Roxanne's bark was always worse than her bite. Corsac was more misanthropic than malicious. But something about this guy feels different, Owl. What if I don't have what it takes?
I wouldn't worry about that. I'm certain you're more than capable and, well, it's awful that you're in this situation, that's for certain. For certain, but really, it isn't anyone's fault, per se, and Wait, what was the question again?
What's going on with you? You seem less articulate than usual.
Well, I don't like seeing you this way. I suppose I've grown accustomed to your bravado. It's made it easier to ignore the full gravity of your situation. A situation for which I'm, well, partly to blame. Just a little.
How so?
Oh, you must have guessed by now, or at least suspected. My name. My true name. It isn't an owl. It's Oswald.
What? Uncle Oswald? It's really you, isn't it?
I'm afraid so.
But how? How is that possible?
It's quite a story, but most of what I've told you is true. My debt had grown beyond my control. I was desperate for money. So I set out for Maven's castle, and I made it, Sylvia. Thanks to my potions, I was the first in decades to set foot there. But I set that foot right in a booby trap, some strange runic circle, charged with transmogrifying magics. One moment, I was a handsome, broad-shouldered gentleman with a winning smile and quite tall.
Good grief.
And the next moment, I was this. I was horrified and confused. I could think of nothing else but how to undo my transformation. I fled that place and returned to the shop. And that's when I realized everyone believed I was dead. Everyone, including a certain debt collector. And despite my unusual circumstances, I breathed a sigh of relief because I finally felt safe.
How nice for you. Less great for me, though.
Putting you in my will, I thought I was doing a good thing. A generous thing. I didn't think it through. You must know that's true. As desperate as I was, I never would have chosen to burden you with all this.
Then you should have told me this sooner. You should have been honest. And you definitely should have spoken up when Helena came for me.
You're right. You're right about that. I regret my inaction at that moment, Sylvia, more than I can say.
If I were smart, I'd turn you over to her right now. This debt is your responsibility. I shouldn't even be in this mess. But I've invested so much in this shop. It's mine now. And I won't let Helena repossess it over your breach of contract.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you for not handing me over to her, for giving me another chance.
I didn't say anything about giving you another chance. The last thing I need around here is a business partner who's been lying to my face. Owl.
But Sylvia...
I'm going to beat Boss Finn. I'm going to pay off this debt to save myself and my shop from the clutches of the bank. And I'm going to do it on my own. No big deal, though. It turns out in every way that matters. I've been on my own from the start.
No, that isn't... I understand. I suppose I'll give you some space.
Was just about to do some birdhouse construction. You any good with tools?
So, this is pretty fun, right? Right. Cool. That's a pretty solid birdhouse.
What, this? This is just the foyer.
You know, that's the most you've said to me since I got here. You're not much of a talker, are you?
I suppose I'm out of practice. Been a while since I spent much time in the company of human beings.
Really? Because people seemed to be flocking to you when you were selling potions. I sort of had the impression you'd amassed some fans, maybe even some groupies.
Seemed to have scared them off. They kept coming around with something like hunger in their eyes. Started to feel like I was on the menu. So I spritzed them with some urine from a saber-toothed cantaloupe. Very pungent stuff, that urine.
Oof. Yeah, that's one way to chase people off. But that hunger you saw, were they maybe just eager to befriend you?
Not sure I'm looking for friends. Been a long time since I ran with a pack. Don't mind you being here and helping out with the birdhouse. But I'm not sure I've got much to offer when it comes to socializing.
I like the strong silent type. And you do look strong.
Oh, you, need someone for manual labor?
Not exactly what I was getting at.
Ah, right. Look. I don't mean to be obtuse, Sylvia. And I do recognize when I'm being awkward. But despite what you may think, chit-chat isn't as natural as all that. When you're up against a cornered animal, it isn't so hard to know what that animal's gonna do. Talking's different. People zig when you think they'll zag. They use innuendo instead of coming out with what they mean. It's more complicated than anything I encounter out in the wilderness.
People are simple. Don't overthink it. We all want variations on a theme. Love, money, food. Not necessarily in that order.
If you say so. At any rate, I shouldn't complain. This is a new situation I'm in, sure. But adaptability? That's what I do. You've got to be nimble on your feet if you want to survive a hostile setting.
A hostile setting like retail.
You're an odd one, Sylvia. I don't mind it, though. Especially since you're helping out with this birdhouse. Let's get the east wing started next. That's where the water slide will go.
recognize this potion?
That's a good-looking potion. Is he one of mine?
It sure is. We procured it off of one of your customers.
I'm flattered. But I could have made one for you.
So you're saying it's not irreplaceable or nothing? Good to know. Pepper? Dump it out, please.
Hey! What gives?
We needed a fancy container for your ceremony. Something you had a connection to.
You could have just asked me for a spare bottle.
Consider it one last test of your commitment. And honestly, you gotta be ready for these shocking twists. Running with us means weathering some storms sometimes. So gird your loins before anybody can kick at them.
You're right. I should have seen that coming.
Now come on! If you're done crying over spilt milk, we got something big in mind for today.
Spilled milk makes me cry.
You've been running with us for a while now. And one thing's clear. You're definitely blood brother material! I can count on one paw the times you've backed down from danger. And there's only one thing we value more than fearlessness.
Family.
That's right. And we don't just mean the kittens in your birth litter either. See, as a pirate, you get to make your own family. How great is that? So what do you say? Are you ready to become a blood brother?
Yes! Let's do it!
That's the right attitude. And hey, bonus! Your verbal confirmation absolves us of liability!
What?
It'll be fine. Just do exactly as we tell you.
Now I have brimstone and leather fibers on my tongue.
You're supposed to take your gloves off first.
And so the kittens lost their mittens
upon the raging sea. All right, time for the grand finale. Normally, we'd have you urinate in the sand over there. But you seem like the type to be pea-shy, and we ain't got all day. So drop a loogie instead. It amounts to the same thing, marking your territory.
It's like graffiti. Sylvia was here.
As initiations go, this isn't too bad.
Nah, there's no initiation. We're just hanging out. I guess there's one sort of ceremonial thing we gotta do. Pepper?
Sylvia, we would like to present you with a bottle of sand from this beach.
As you know, every pirate carries sand from their birthplace. In your case, this beach is the site of your rebirth as a pirate. Now, wherever you go, whatever you do, you'll have a piece of Rafta with you.
And if we're apart, it will remind you of us too.
Plus, in a pinch, it kind of works as a portable litter box.
Thanks, guys. I'll cherish this. And I'm sort of relieved there was no actual blood involved.
Forget that! Somebody here faints at the very sight of blood.
That somebody is Salt.
I've earned a treat. I think you've earned one too.
I do like ice cream.
Then you shall have it, darling. Just let me do the talking.
What was that?
That was the performance of a lifetime. And if you haven't yet tried the emotional minefield technique, you very much should.
I'll practice it. But first, ice cream. What's on your mind?
Oh, just mulling over some of my recent accomplishments. As of this morning, I've submitted all the paperwork and fees required for my business license. Now all that remains is to schedule my exam.
I've heard that test is pretty tough.
To which I say, bring it on. If I feared a challenge, I never would have ended up here.
I'm glad you've made progress. I feel like that license represents the start of a whole new chapter for you.
And not a moment too soon. The previous chapter was getting tense. I was lured to the surface world by the promise of glamour and luxury. But I've been hustling since I got here, never more than a step or two ahead of disaster.
That dire, huh?
Oh, yes. See, shortly after coming here, I fell prey to the biggest con of them all. Credit. I was in debt. Deep, dangerous, demoralizing debt. And I realized I always would be. So long as I continued to play by the rules of rich men.
Wow, Roxanne, I had no idea.
Yes, generally I prefer it that way. But something about you makes me want to come clean. It's probably your big bovine eyes. Anyway, now you know how I ended up running cons on the streets of Rafta.
I've had it easy by comparison. It's easy to lose sight of that. Particularly when my inheritance has been both a windfall and an albatross.
I suppose we both had to learn that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Solid basis for a friendship, don't you think?
I'll admit I am glad I never tore you to pieces. Going for ice cream is altogether more pleasant than picking gristle out of my claws.
Yeah, about that. I couldn't help noticing. You haven't touched your ice cream, and now it's all melted.
Oh, good. This is how I prefer it, you see. Ice cream headaches are my greatest vulnerability.
Wow. We must really be friends if you're telling me your weaknesses.
Weakness, singular. You're welcome to look for more than one, but I don't like your odds, dear.
it.